Hello everyone and welcome to Season 2 of JS News.
Yeah.
We finally did it. We completed Season 1. It's been 4 episodes. It wasn't a long season, but it was a season for us.
We didn't actually wrap it up as such, but I think new year, new season, and new setup. So I really hope that the sound is good. The video should be also better. And we have a logo right now.
This logo actually looks photoshopped in, but it's not. It's real.
No, it's real.
It's handmade by our one and only Edmundas.
Yeah.
So now we have a higher production quality. Let's hope the podcasts and streams get better as well.
Yeah, I really hope so. So also one more thing. We have a chat in Twitch here. So if you want to write anything, just ask questions, write random stuff. We'll be leaving that open for a while, a little bit. And we'll be checking the chat from time to time. So if you can hear us right now, and if you are watching the stream, just write to the chat. Nice. Okay, cool. So we already have some comments. Amazing. Okay, cool. So what is our season 2, the first episode, going to be about?
Well, the first episode, I realized we haven't discussed Houdini yet, and regarding the specification of it and how it works as well, it actually started releasing into browsers now. So since that started happening, I think that's something that we should consider as well. The next thing is, I guess, the important thing for year 2022 is there's a new spec of JavaScript. So that's something we always should discuss.
Yeah.
And also there's new things, I guess, we're gonna consider and see the difference between Next.js and Remix.
Yeah, as always. We also have a roundup of interesting projects in 2021. Timas also has some new tool to build websites, I think.
Yeah, I found a Retool. It's what's called. It's basically meant to build internal tools for companies, not public ones. You don't need to write any code at all.
Okay, so I'm really excited to hear about it. And then we're going to talk about new tools. So starting with one. Last time we had a live stream on December 3rd, I think.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and then a week later, Create React App actually releases a new version. So I'm just gonna display it right here, and we can see that Create React App version 5 is now available, and it's been available for almost a whole month right now. We didn't have a chance to speak about it. Actually, I think we could have, but
but we decided not to because it was the first season.
Yeah, so this is actually a really important update. Most of our simple projects use Create React App, and in this one, I can see that we are finally using the latest versions of libraries such as Webpack, Jest, ESLint, PostCSS, and one thing that's always been bugging me about React scripts in general is that they really had those like reported security vulnerabilities in NPM.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes, I do.
Yeah, so they didn't used to be like a super huge issue, but they're very annoying. So hopefully in version 5 we have all the latest packages and it should all work good.
Yeah, I'm also like looking forward to it since we're using the new version and updated version of Webpack now. It should actually increase the performance of running development servers as well and building the app itself. So that's something to take a look at and actually maybe benchmark at some point to see how it actually affected our work in the long run.
Nice.
So yeah, the new CRA is out. Use it and update your projects because this one is really important.
What are the breaking changes?
I'm not sure. What are the breaking changes? I don't think there are any actually.
There actually is
Basically,
one.
Node support.
Yeah. Who uses Node 10 right now?
I am.
You're using Node 10?
Why?
Because in my project there is a gulp 3.9.
Oh wow! But are you using the latest React scripts there?
It's not React project.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But yeah, just keep in mind if you need Node 10, that's gonna be an issue for you. But as we can see, Node 12 will be end of life in April 2022. So yeah, that's about the only breaking change right now.
And I guess most projects like already use Node 16 at this point.
Because it's LTS.
Yeah, with NPM 8 as well. So I'm not sure how many people will get affected by it, because most projects that are based on React are built using Create React App, and it will definitely show you that you're using the wrong Node version if you're trying to install something and they don't support it.
Yeah.
So this is more for legacy projects, I guess, that have been developed a long time ago. But if you're updating that, you're gonna update the node as well, because you're gonna see it's in version 10. So I don't think this is gonna be such a huge breaking change that will affect a lot of people, but it's good that they mentioned it.
Yeah, definitely. And migration is quite easy actually. You just add new version of React scripts and that's basically it. You reinstall, it generates new, I think log files maybe if you like. Yeah, just update the dependency.
Just the basic things. I mean, log files are basically managed by npm, and if you update the node version, you're gonna update the npm version as well. So the log files are gonna be a bit different, but it's not gonna be anything huge.
Yeah, I think so too. So yeah, CRA version 5 updated now. What's next?
Next is a Remix versus Next.js comparison.
Remix again?
Yes. And it's done by Remix team. But
wow.
pure comparison.
So basically they did a comparison to promote Remix compared to Next.js?
Yeah, but they actually are partners with Next.js.
Okay.
They use their hosting. Yeah, they used Next.js previously, I think. And yeah, so the main thing, Remix is faster than Next.js.
Much faster?
Not that much, but especially at the dynamic content.
Oh, okay.
Because Next.js is loading dynamic content on client side, and Remix does it on server side. And yeah, there are some differences, but
oh, I see. So that's
it's very deep comparison, and they wrote 2 apps in Remix. One is like Remix port that used like Next.js infrastructure, but they
I see.
changed just the framework. So it's a bit, Remix port is a bit slower.
But it's still faster than Next. If it's using Next infrastructure, it's already an improvement on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But in this picture, I think it's written that Next.js has a loader in that, and that's why it the visual thing.
Oh yeah, I see.
Is different, because if you can see that t-shirt image is loaded faster on Next.js. I think there's a slower version. This one, slower version.
The slow-mo version. Oh,
Yeah.
okay, I see.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's an interesting comparison actually, because it's always been the question: should you keep using like Next, or should you just move to Remix? And they're outlining in this articles the actual differences. There are some like different architectural stuff, so maybe you would be better off using Next. You need to actually dive deeper into it.
Yeah, and the way to write code is different for Next.js and the Remix one.
Yeah, definitely.
And they have written that Next.js is more like for front-end application and Remix is like full stack.
Mm-hmm.
So you do the server-side job too.
Mm. No.
Have you actually like tried Remix?
I played around a little bit.
How did you like it?
I liked it. Yeah, it's not hard to use actually,
Nice.
but I didn't try very much that. But it looks simple to use.
Okay. But so basically, if you're just building a full stack application straight up, you should just jump into Remix instead of Next.
What's your verdict on this?
I haven't tried Next.
Oh,
okay.
I can't compare myself.
okay.
Because basically with Next it's just developing React with additional features and functionalities.
I believe Remix should be like something like that too.
That's what I thought, but if Timas says that he tried it, then it's basically like a full stack app where you do the actual server-side jobs, then learning Next is a lot easier than learning Remix.
You basically join the database from Remix,
Yeah.
and you just don't need a backend additional. So
Yeah, that's what I understood. For Next, you would still need an API in order to get it to work completely how you would want. You couldn't like integrate databases into it. For Remix, I think you can do that, right, Timas?
Yeah.
You don't need an additional backend for it.
Yeah, but you can also use it with a backend, like it was a traditional API.
Well, yeah, you could.
Yeah.
But like then at that point, what's the point of using Remix if you can use Next, which is a lot simpler to learn and integrate for just the front end side?
But here's the question: is it? Maybe Remix is also like easy to use.
Maybe. Well, I guess it depends on what you're used to.
I think we just need to do a deep comparison by ourselves.
Let's just do two projects and benchmark them.
Yeah, as always.
Workshop of some
Yeah.
kind.
Let's not just read this article. We're gonna do a better comparison.
Yeah, this is not good enough.
Yeah. Okay. So, on those words, what next do we have? So Houdini. Oh no, not Houdini. Not yet. Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. So in 2021, we had a lot of very, very interesting projects, and like new releases of new frameworks have emerged, and we have new tools, and basically the world of JavaScript is evolving faster than ever. And I think for a nice quick recap of what we actually gained through this year, there's this very nice website that's called JavaScript Rising Stars. And basically what it is they have actually collected all of the frameworks, tools, all kinds of projects that have emerged and especially gained popularity through this year. And they have this really quick recap. So let's open up the most popular projects overall.
Yep.
And we see Google ZX.
We did talk about Google ZX, right?
Yeah, we talked about it. I think maybe Timas, I think you talked about it, yeah?
Karolis.
Ah,
talked
Karolis,
about it,
yeah.
Okay, so just a quick recap, what that is.
It basically allows you to write JavaScript in Bash format. You don't have to learn the Bash programming language anymore in order to get your consoles or command lines to work. You can now just use JavaScript to do so. And using ZX, that allows you to do that. So I guess this is the reason why it became so popular, because integrating it into your daily life and actually automating specific tasks for yourself, for example, making pull requests even. So if you hate clicking around your Git client or writing command lines,
Yeah, definitely.
just hitting a Bash script that was built with ZX is a lot easier.
Yeah, nice. And I really can see why it's actually number one most popular project overall. It's actually built by Google, so
That's first of
it
all.
has a really strong backing, and it's super easy to
I
use.
actually tried to use that in my project, but it uses Node 10.
So it didn't work.
Yeah.
Oh wow, no, you definitely need to update your project, Timas.
Yeah.
You definitely need to do that. Okay, and most popular in second and third place we have Vite and we have Next.js. followed by React. So not surprising. These are all the tools that we've been talking about, and it's really cool that they have been recognized as
What's
most
the
popular.
Tauri?
Which one?
Tauri. It's fifth one.
Oh, okay. So that's actually in the desktop. I think
it's in the different world.
yeah, in the desktop category. So apparently it's more popular than Electron, and it allows you to build desktop applications with JavaScript. I haven't even actually looked into it.
I think we can talk about it in the next episode.
Yeah, let's mark it down. I think this is
Yeah.
something we should take into
Because,
consideration.
some time ago, I checked what are the new in the desktop applications and didn't see this one. It's like 4 months ago I checked it.
Oh, but it's interesting. Actually, it says here that in February it had the most trend.
Okay.
It did, but I didn't hear about it until now. Like, this is the first time.
Okay.
And like, we looked into Electron like a while ago and actually like tried things with Electron.
Yeah,
And,
we did this one project with Electron.
Okay.
yeah.
So we'll get back to you with this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting.
You caught me off guard here.
Oh, I see it's in beta.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, if it's still in beta, then it's not like Recall is still in beta too. But
Recoil is experimental as always. Speaking of
nothing changed.
recoil, state management, it's also one of the categories.
Yeah, but Zustand is there.
Yeah, so Zustand is. Have we talked about it?
No,
I don't think so, but I've used it in 2 of my projects because it couples with React context and with uses WR at the same time. And instead of writing this huge Redux global library that you could use, or going through a component tree each time you need to change a context, you can simply write a global state hook from which you can easily grab the state selectors where you don't need any updating, where you could grab just a function and no state if you don't need any updating. It's basically a way to manage your React render states in a much more easier global way. And it's just a bare necessity, I guess. That's how they call it. It's just the bare necessities for global state management.
Okay.
It's everything you would need, and it's actually very lightweight as well.
Nice.
Okay.
So for projects that just need like a bit of global state and it would make their life easier and the code nicer and cleaner, this is a good solution.
Okay. Can you make some examples in the next JS News episode?
Yeah, of course.
Nice. So already here we're planning the next episode. Nice. I like it. I really like it. So it seems that in 2021 we got a lot of really cool tools. We can also see that in testing we have Playwright, which is also not talked about.
Yeah, I haven't heard about it.
Yeah. So I think there's some really good content here just to talk about. And it's really nice to see JavaScript world growing faster than ever.
As always.
Okay, let's look at the chat quickly, okay? Nice. We have some questions here. How do you prefer to solve client time zone problem at sending date objects to backend?
It automatically sets the date time in the correct time zone. No, there's no such thing as setting the correct time zone. First of all, you have to understand one point. Databases, if your backend is, for example, using Node.js, it automatically, when uploading a date string into the database, it converts it into UTC.
Yeah. You just need to send date with time zone.
Yes, exactly. You always need to make sure that you send that date with time zone so it's not reconverted, and that basically solves all the issues. This also comes down to how you're handling the date on the client side for displaying it to the user actually. Because I guess when sometimes you get those dates with time zones in the client and you don't know that they actually have time zones, some components automatically convert them into UTC time and add the extra hours instead of showing the correct time.
But some components use the locale time zone from
Yes,
Dart.
and sometimes they use the locale time zone and add that time zone and just adjust that time. Especially if you're using Moment. Moment does that a lot, and it causes a lot of issues in projects.
But the important here thing is to understand actually what kind of data do you need, because mostly when you're sending data to backend, it's either a timestamp,
Yes.
which is an absolute date representation, or it's a UTC string that has all of the information. So if you need clients to submit dates that are on a different time zone, then you have a problem. You need to do something about it. But if you just need to show like blog posts that have been submitted some time ago or something, it's always better for the client to do those transformations on the client side and have an absolute timestamp in the backend.
Yeah, exactly. And the rest of the API data and management of the date, it should be, I guess, if you're not sending an actual timestamp, if you're sending like a user selected date, all the time zone management should be handled on the backend side, and we should just return the string that we should actually display, because that would be the best way to do it, and then the client side won't have to think about what the database does with that time zone string when it uploads.
Yeah. So it just depends on your project, but always like having an absolute representation of that, it's gonna solve the problem by itself.
Yeah.
I often see people just diving deep into the time zones, trying to do those like kind of transformations, especially using Moment time zone, where you overcomplicate things instead of just like handling them.
Yeah, there's no point to it.
Yeah. So that's our solution. Just don't worry about it. There's no point about it.
It just works in the end.
Yeah, probably. Cool. So that was a question from our chat. If you have any other questions, just please post. And now we're resuming with the other news that we have actually. Houdini.
Basically, okay, so there's this new CSS thing.
It's been new for quite a while.
Yeah, it's been new for quite a while, but most browsers that are based on Chromium have started shipping it. Basically what Houdini is on some additional things that you can code in JavaScript and add it into your CSS style sheets and then use them.
So basically extending CSS programmatically.
Yeah, extending CSS programmatically, that's what it allows. As you can see, there's quite a couple of APIs. I'm gonna try to go one by one and just quickly explain what it does. Basically, what the Paint API does is, imagine you have a canvas, and in that canvas you wanna like draw something. Usually you have to do that with rectangles and things, right? By using the Paint API, you can basically code the entire canvas that you want displayed.
Okay.
With all the variables, with what you need. Maybe you want some borders that are actually that are usually where, and just add those into that canvas, and then you can use that in your CSS as a background image, for example.
Like this one.
Yes, like this one.
Okay.
So that's what the Paint API does. The only thing I'm worried regarding it is the performance of apps, since I haven't yet tested how much it affects if you have like 20 of these on the screen just rendered. So that's something to take a look at into the future, and just not dive into your production projects instantly.
Yeah, especially that it doesn't have full support. For example, right now it does not support Safari.
And Mozilla doesn't even it's still under consideration. One is in the Safari, at least, is developing it. Mozilla doesn't accept anything regarding these. That's why we're still waiting on the thing, but this is something to keep an eye on. Next is the Properties and Values API. Basically what this does is it allows you to extend CSS with your own custom properties you would need. For example, as you can see here, we have a my color for some reason, right? This is your extended property in which you can actually specify what it does, what CSS properties it uses, and what it inherits.
Oh wait, so that's CSS variables, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not even a CSS variable. A CSS variable is used with a property, right?
Uh-huh.
You type in a property and then the CSS variable.
Uh-huh.
This is the same visual like look how a CSS variable does, but this is actually a CSS property. Not this my color is a property. It's like margin top would be.
It's actually an attribute of the style for
Yes.
that thing. Okay, and why do I need this?
Because you're allowed to actually add your own properties and you can code them how you want. So you can add custom attributes like this one, for example, and you can use them throughout your application and it will be hard typed.
Uh-huh.
And using this hard typing, imagine if we didn't have TypeScript, for example.
Yeah.
It was a lot harder to know what to add into that property or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Using this, you wouldn't have to like worry or do anything.
Okay.
You can just type it and make sure that it's always correct in all of your CSS style sheets.
Okay, so I think I have actually seen a worklet on this that actually outlines it very nice. Okay, that's not the one. But yeah, so this one. Okay, so these are the custom properties that you have.
Yes.
And you could do something just like that. That's
Yeah.
like pure CSS, except the part where you actually code that.
Well, you
Worklet.
need to code it inside your JavaScript and add it, but yeah.
But then you can just use it in CSS, your own custom properties.
Yes, and they will always be hard typed, and you can use them throughout your
Nice.
like divs or whatever you need, and you won't have any issues like we had in the past where someone used margin top and someone used padding top. You can just add the property called spacing.
Yeah, spacing. For
Spacing
example.
top, and then everyone and tell everyone no margin, no padding, use spacing top or spacing bottom, and then it's hard typed, so you won't have to like go back and check everyone's code and why this layout looks wrong but it is right.
Wait, so maybe we're gonna return to pure CSS sometime.
Maybe at some point we will,
Nice.
but since there have been a lot of updates, but yeah. So this is like the gist of the properties and values API. Typed OM, basically, when in JavaScript you used to set a CSS property on an element,
You do that in JavaScript, just like parse the string
and it's just a string,
yeah.
and it's typed as string. What this does, it allows you to set a CSS pixel property, for example, CSS
Okay.
pixels, and then when you grab the value of it, you will only get the number, and if you get the unit of it, you will get what the actual unit used is.
Okay.
So it basically the hard types those attributes, and it makes our life easier because now we can just get the value and don't need to remove like the pixel and then cast it into a number instead of a string.
Nice.
So this is what this part does.
So imagine with this, how much more efficient would the GSS libraries would be.
Yes,
Nice.
exactly. Using this, we won't have to like keep parsing those strings, and I think this will be a huge improvement on the performance of the web, like overall once this gets implemented. I'm not sure how much like the new class creation actually affects the performance, but I don't think it will be more than continuously parsing each value. So yeah, that's another point to look at.
Nice.
The next is the layout API. What the layout API does is it allows you to make any layout you want, and then use it as a display property. So for example, if there are like still browsers that don't support the grid layout, right?
Yeah.
Using this, you could make that grid layout as a property. Basically just type out, write all that code, make sure that all the components are handled and go where they need, and just add it into your display. And that's it. That would be your layout.
Okay.
And it would be custom, and it would be supported in all browsers. that support Houdini.
Except Mozilla.
Except Mozilla, because she doesn't support Houdini.
Yeah, but I can see the use case. For example, if you have like a masonry grid of images, like this Pinterest style grid, you could code that to just use CSS without.
Yeah, exactly. And then you would just type in display, layout, masonry grid, and that's it. That's all you would need to do in order to get that layout to work, and reuse it throughout your entire site.
Okay, so why aren't we using Houdini right now?
Because it's not done yet. It's still in development. The W3 spec is not completed yet. And there are still some things that they're trying to work out before they actually release it into the public that we can use in our production applications. So for now, this is a good return to the CSS world from the JS and CSS world, I guess. Or it's the other way around, actually.
Yeah.
But this looks quite promising to compare to what we saw with CSS in the past.
And if you're using Chrome, like in a desktop application with Electron or something like that, you could already take advantage of it.
Yeah, you
quite
could.
Safely.
Yeah, you could, but I guess for now I would still wait while it's still completely released and use those CSS and JS solutions that we have now. They are tested, they are supported, and they are parsed as expected. So do it, but at your own risk.
One more thing to wait besides recoil.
Besides recoil, which will never come out at this point.
Yeah, it's never coming out. Let's just like deal with it. Okay, let's just check the chat real quick. Okay,
We're good.
we're good. Nothing's in the chat. It's empty, pretty much. Okay, what's next?
ES 2022.
ES 2022.
Yeah, so we do have finished proposals for ES 2022. Some of the check the specification yourself, go through the documentation of what new will come out and when it will actually be ready in all browsers to make sure all browsers support it before you use it. That's the main rule with all these new specs. Some honorable mentions is the top level await. Now, in order to await a promise, you won't need to wrap it in a function that is asynchronous. You can simply just do it at the top level and that's it. In your like functional components or whatever, you don't need asynchronous functions anymore.
Maybe in frameworks like React it's not as useful, but if you're working on like a low-level JavaScript API that uses just one file, maybe even in a like service worker on a web worker.
Yeah, it doesn't matter where. Like if you're building like a simple app using JavaScript, this will make your life a bit easier to not write like asynchronous functions at all times. It will make our life a bit easier as well, since I guess in React there's not many use cases for this, but for example, you could like use await in a use memo if you would want, and it would return the promise. So that would be a top level example in React, for example.
Oh, okay.
Because you won't need to like put it in a callback, and even if you put it in a callback, you won't be able to put it in a memo and await it still.
Okay, so but if you have an await in the top level, so where do you catch it if it fails?
I guess inside the memo. I'm not sure like the end result of it or how it works.
I mean,
because it still hasn't been released like completely.
If the promise fails, does your whole browser crash?
Your computer catches on fire, everything explodes around you. Something about that. Yeah, I guess so. If for now, how it works like exactly, we're not sure. Until we actually like use it in an app and see the possible use cases, we won't be completely sure on how it will work in the real world. Next thing to take a look at is the .at.
What's that?
This actually was in Python like a long time ago, and I was like confused when it wasn't in JavaScript as well. What it does is just gets you, depending on the number you type in, it gets you that item in the array. That's the basic gist of it. Just type in an array, type .at, and the index that you want. Okay. And for example, -1 would return you the last item of the array.
Nice.
If you just typed in -1, and you won't, and you, why is this good? You don't need to do an array, then those like brackets that are with edges, and then length -1.
So that's like array last.
Yeah.
I think I dreamed about a method called
Called array last.
Yeah.
Your dreams came true. Now we have @.
Okay.
It does the
It's
same
like in
thing.
Python, right?
Sorry?
It's like in Python.
Yeah, it's the same thing in Python.
Exactly
And
the same.
yeah, and now it just works out of the box. And yeah, so those are the couple honorable mentions I found. But read the spec sheet, see what browsers actually support it.
Are you actually suggesting people read the whole ES 2022 spec sheet?
Not the entire thing, just the functions you need. For example, I don't think I'll need class fields.
No,
Like-
because we don't do object-oriented programming.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we basically do functional programming
Yeah,
at all times.
with React, yeah.
So since we're doing that, the class fields are not going to be an option. But I am gonna like take a deeper dive into top-level APIs, top-level awaits, as well as the add function to see how it works like in the real world.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it's not as interesting as other things, but it's nice to see JavaScript evolving yet. So yeah, cool. Then we have this thing called
Retool.
Retool. Okay. Timas, you wanna talk about what this is?
Yes, so as I mentioned before, it's basically to build internal tools for company.
Mm-hmm.
And it has UI components, it can fetch data from different data sources, from databases. It supports a lot of databases, I didn't even know some of them.
Okay.
It can fetch data from GraphQL API, REST API, from Google spreadsheets, for example. Google
You can fetch
Document.
data from Google spreadsheets?
Yes, from Slack, from Jira. There's a lot of data sources,
Uh-huh.
like 50 or something like that.
Interesting.
So you can just build a application,
Mm-hmm.
and there are templates for that too.
But basically that's a drag and drop builder. I think
Yeah,
it's a
you
visual.
can drag and drop and select the data sources, what to do on click. For example, if you add a button, you select on click what to do.
Uh-huh.
The table has a filters on it, sorting by default,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah, user just can use it.
Okay.
You build it quickly. You don't need anything to code.
So basically you don't need any developers.
It requires some knowledge.
Yeah, but
maybe
you-
it can require SQL knowledge.
But you don't need anyone to code.
Yeah.
Oh wow! So let's just hide this one.
Yeah,
It's only for internal
Uh-huh.
purpose. And yeah, you just can, for example, register with your company email, and it only allows you to use it for that.
So that's basically like quickly putting together like an admin panel for your like Google spreadsheet or something.
Yeah, but it can, if your company needs to manage some data,
Mm-hmm.
and it can make your life a lot easier.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and I think a lot of big companies are using this tool.
Yeah, I
Like
see.
Amazon,
Yeah, there's a lot of names here,
yeah,
but
Pinterest.
I haven't even heard about it. How have you heard about it?
I found it in my JS Weekly news.
Yeah, I've actually heard that there's a lot of like ads about it.
Yeah. It's basically promoted in a lot of places at this point.
Mm-hmm.
Mostly it targets people that actually use JS for some reason. All US like newsletters
Mm-hmm.
have this as an ad.
Interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure why, but I guess what's their pricing?
Yeah, they have a
Click
it's
Zero.
not-
It's free.
It's for development.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah.
you can't switch to user mode and free. So you
Oh, so it's $10 per user per month
yeah.
for a team member.
Nice.
So if you have like 10 team members, that's like $100 for an admin panel a month.
Yeah, but you would spend more like designing that from scratch.
Would
just-
you using Material UI, just
You
putting
just need
elements on the page?
To compare your.
Imagine like you run this admin panel for like a year,
Mm-hmm.
But
that's like 1,200.
the pricing is per user per month, but you can create a lot of apps with it.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
So you
but
can just
not for a
continuously
single,
create,
like-
yeah.
Okay.
So you can just continuously create more apps if you need it, and for the first one you can even just start with the free one
Mhm.
if you're just playing around and
yeah.
creating, and after that, yeah. But it's just for the company that needs some kind of
Internal
of,
tools.
a lot of internal tools.
Okay, yeah, I get that.
And you can self-host it as well.
Yeah, but the pricing is the same actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it doesn't change much, I guess. Yeah, but it's good to hear that there are actually tools that help it build internal applications. I guess that's
Mhm.
an issue, like in big organizations, especially.
Yeah.
Like maybe we would like need a tool for planning or something at some point.
Something like Jira.
Yeah, something like Jira.
Yeah, I mean, we really need to
I
see a
guess-
use case for this
Yeah.
for our like purposes.
But I don't
It's
like
good
to see a purpose for now.
to know this to know this tool,
Mm.
and when some problem arrives, you just
Yeah,
It's there too.
probably something like AWS Amplify as well. You wouldn't use that on a client's project for
No.
production, but you can use it in your internal stuff if you just
Yeah.
need to put
Yeah,
something
of
together.
course. Yeah, you would.
Yeah, also
I guess
like
it's the same
Firebase.
use
Yeah,
case.
and that what's really good about this tool is that it has a lot of integrations.
Mhm.
So you don't spend time with the integrating Google Sheets, integrating Slack, for example, Jira, and a lot of these tools I just first heard the names of them.
Mhm. Okay.
Just, I don't even know what they do, but they
Got
have
it.
integration with them.
So if it's so powerful and flexible, maybe we'll need to try it out sometime.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. But speaking about tools actually that allow you to create code without coding, I want to talk about Eleventy. So that's also been in all of the like weekly JavaScript
Yeah.
newsletters. And this thing basically creates static websites without any JavaScript. You can configure it, but the idea is you just write templates on it, Markdown, HTML, any kind of templates. It even supports like handlebars, etc. This you remember when we were writing like websites with template engines?
Yeah.
Good times.
My favorite one was Twig, I think.
Yeah, Twig. Wow, amazing. So yeah, basically it allows you to just generate a static website, and I have tried it myself, and I just ran it on my own like a random Markdown file that I had, and basically it just looks like this. So that's terrible. That's just a Markdown file without any styling, and for some reason it's a website. So I see that it's not like as straightforward as it says,
Yeah.
but I see some really cool use cases for it. And just let me open it up.
Writing documentation sites in Markdown.
Writing documentation.
Like full on just documentation in Markdown and just upload it as an index HTML.
Yeah, but GitHub Pages also does that. You just
Yeah, that's true.
yeah, you just put Markdown files, and GitHub Pages also does it. But this example actually caught my eye. Basically, you can write very simple blogs with it. You just create template files for the main pages of your application, and then you can actually write posts in this super easy template description.
Okay.
So that might be quite powerful if you want your own personal like a portfolio website or your own personal blog, and you just literally want to spend like 5 minutes creating it.
Yeah.
That's a good use case. You don't need any processes. It's static. You can host it anywhere, and it's really easily generated. So previously for my own personal projects, I would use something like Gatsby
Yeah.
and then generate the static website. But this is so much faster, I think.
Yeah, of course. If you just need to type in a template file and just build it, it's gonna be a lot faster than using Gatsby.
Yeah, so it's actually a really cool way to create super simple websites without any JavaScript.
Yeah, that looks good actually. Maybe that's something like there are interesting use cases as you mentioned for it, but I'm not sure like in the past how scalable it is, like in the future. If we're talking about scalability, even if you're writing like a blog,
I doubt it. I doubt that it's even at least scalable. If you want a real like blog with CMS,
yeah,
you would probably go with WordPress actually.
yeah, probably. Like if you're trying to make a blog, like I wouldn't start with this. Because if you wanna like improve it in the future, you'll have to redo the entire blog like from scratch.
Yeah, but that's the problem. Everyone who's creating a website, they want to have the latest technologies to build it super powerful, etc.
Yeah.
And every modern website is super bloated with JavaScript, with scripts, everything.
Okay, that's true.
This takes a minimal approach so that creating a website is actually very, very simple. Maybe it's a bit old-fashioned, but in the result, it's everything you need, and it doesn't.
Maybe it's pretty good for a temporary solution.
For a temporary solution, yeah.
And also
This
for
is
those
good.
super simple websites where you really don't need React just to display 5 pages.
No, like you don't need React to display 5 pages.
Yeah, but try
You use
explaining
Next
that.
for that. Use because you need server-side rendering.
Oh wait, yeah, exactly. You have 5 static pages. You open server-side rendering. You run GraphQL for some reason on that one. That's a standard practice right now.
Yeah, I guess so.
Maybe people should just look into things like that more.
Into a more simpler life, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially when they want like those pages to be indexed by Google then as well, one by one.
That has super is SEO. Everything is plain HTML. Google
Exactly.
can,
This is
read
perfect.
everything.
If you want good SEO and be number 1 on Google, use this.
just use Eleventy and have everything static. Good old times.
Yeah. Okay, let's keep going.
Let's keep going with this. Okay, so just a small announcement. We have State of JS. I think everyone knows what State of JS is.
Yep.
What is State of JS, Edmundas?
Are you kidding me?
Explain.
Each year, State of JS has this survey where they ask a lot of developers, and also not even developers, but they have the state of CSS and other surveys, basically just to get an idea of what tools are used, what frameworks are most popular, and they present the results in a really nice way. And currently, the survey for State of JS 2022, it's like information from last year, it's open, and I think if more people take the survey, then we would have like very accurate results about what actually is the state of JavaScript. So just a small announcement, I'm encouraging every one of you just to open this up, log in to this one, and just
Do the survey.
do the survey, because it really helps us. And I've used the state of JavaScript results a lot of times.
Yeah.
It's really useful, especially for pitching technologies to clients, to choosing what you want to use. So it's a really cool project, and I think we should all contribute to it.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Everyone should fill it out, and then let your family fill it out, and then your friends.
Yeah. So
The
yeah.
more data we have, the better.
Yep, that's just a very quick announcement.
And we have another one quick announcement.
Yeah, another one quick announcement, which I actually pinned at random fun things, but it's not super fun, is it?
It's fun. Why?
It's pretty fun. Yes,
pretty fun.
basically,
It's funny if you think about it.
AngularJS LTS support has ended,
Nice.
and that really surprised me when I saw this, because I saw a few years ago that it was supposed to end in 2020 July.
Yeah, so you see, they have actually extended the LTS due to global pandemic.
Yeah.
Because for some reason, coronavirus affects AngularJS.
Because developers don't sit at home and just play with their computers.
No. So I think it's actually about time. But you actually have been using AngularJS.
Yeah.
So what do you think about it?
I haven't.
How is Angular for you?
It's terrible.
It's terrible?
Yeah.
Is it?
Do you not like the structure of it? I love the structure of Angular actually.
Yeah,
like the
Angular is
structure
amazing.
itself, it's cool. Like
I mean,
I
it's-
don't like to code with it.
It's possible to write it in modern style,
Yeah.
and it will be pretty nice.
Mm-hmm.
It will be like Vue.js or something like that, pretty similar, and then it's okay. I had one project previously with AngularJS too, a few years ago, and it was written with classes.
But it's Angular too, it's not
no, it
AngularJS.
was AngularJS,
AngularJS still, okay.
Okay.
and it was written nicely,
Mm-hmm.
and it was nice to work with because the code was clean and
Mm-hmm.
That sounds
we
good.
just used modern JavaScript at least.
Mm-hmm. Okay. But it's still like super hard to actually switch from old AngularJS to the new Angular.
Yeah, you need to rewrite it all.
Mm-hmm. I see. Okay.
Hey,
So how does this affect you right now? If they're like canceling the LTS, how does this affect the support project that you have?
I don't really need to update the Angular package right now.
Mm-hmm.
It was expected actually, and yeah, these projects needs to be rewritten.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's just on support line.
Yeah, I guess I wonder how many projects are out there like that. Because I remember when I started like developing front end, Angular was like the best.
Mm-hmm.
There was React, there was Vue. No one cared about those at the beginning. Everyone went to Angular.
Yeah.
And after a while, they've decided that Angular is not as good as React, and then everyone went to React.
Yeah, exactly. I myself actually started working on
Me
Angular.
too.
Yeah, when Angular 2 came out, I started coding. So I only had a week to work with AngularJS and then I switched. So yeah, I think these projects that have been created with these tools, I'm not sure if that's a news item that it's losing continuation because everyone's been expecting it.
Yeah.
Yeah, at the end of the day,
Everyone
everyone
all of
knew.
those projects are legacy that
Mhm.
uses AngularJS, and yeah, they're just on support line or are waiting to be replaced by newer technologies.
Well, that happens to all projects at some point, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, at some point, just HTML websites with JavaScript were insane, or like SPA applications built straight up with jQuery were like the best thing around, and everyone did it, and it was like the latest technology. Now we look at those websites and go, why?
Yeah, but
we're scared of them.
We're scared of those websites. Yeah.
yeah, but with tools that have like static generation, maybe in the future we'll be looking back at React, at all of the Redux state, and we'll be saying what the hell we were doing back then.
Yeah. At that point, maybe robots will write our code for us, and then we'll just fix them.
We will use just Retool.
Retool.
Yeah.
For everything.
So that's why we're doing this JavaScript news. We need to stay on top of the latest trends so that we don't lose our jobs, right?
Yeah, basically, that's the gist of this podcast.
Yeah. Okay, so everyone, thanks for listening. And if you have any like questions, suggestions, comments, you can just write on our social media to us. And if you have any ideas, especially for next episodes, we'll be happy to accept them.
Yep. As always,
Thanks
we'll
for listening.
see you later.
Thank you.
Thanks, and
Bye.
see you later.